Hi, I'm Holly from Accrual Mistress Bookkeeping and Consulting, and today I want to walk you through a new feature that QuickBooks has rolled out in the last 6 months or so here called Feed. Now, this is a really great feature that integrates some of the AI capabilities that QuickBooks has been trying to build into the file. And this is one that at least I have found makes data entry a heck of a lot easier depending on what you're using it for. Now, the example that I'm going to walk you through today is to enter a bill in QuickBooks Online, but please do know this can actually be used for a few different types of transactions. So I recommend playing with it a little bit and figuring out where you might be able to use it in your business to make your life a little bit easier. So in order to access this feature, you can access it either by just clicking on the Feed button right here on the left-hand navigation menu, or you could actually go into the transaction type that you're trying to create, and this little button that looks kind of like a swirly star, that will be accessible again on that left-hand side in each individual screen. So you can use this for a few different types of transactions, and I'll show you which ones right here. So if I click on Feed, it's going to take me to this screen. Now from here, I can go ahead and select this drop down, and these are the different types of transactions that I can create using this feature. So I can create a bill, an expense, an invoice, or an estimate. I have found personally that the most applicable use of this feature is to enter bills. Okay, it's not uncommon for a vendor to send us an email with a PDF version of the bill attached, which makes this a perfect possible use case for something like that. So I'm going to walk you through an example of a bill today. Now, you could either, click here and browse for something, or you can drag and drop a file. So I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop my sample bill in here. Of course, once I do that, QuickBooks is going to go ahead and take its sweet time reading that information out. But once it does, it's going to take me to a separate screen where it's going to show the bill on the left-hand side. And you can double check all of the details basically to ensure that what QuickBooks is reading out of this document is representative of what you want showing on your books. All right. So we have here a bill from Pacific Gas and Electric Company, and sure enough, it looks like QuickBooks picked up the correct vendor, so we're off to a great start. It then did get the bill date correct. I'll go ahead and zoom in on this a bit over here. So we can see that bill date is in fact 12/8 of 2025. The due date is 1/6 of 2026. Now, here is where it did diverge just a little bit. It pulled my account number and decided that that was the bill number, okay? You could by all means leave this in here, but it is good to know that oftentimes a bill number, if you use the same one over and over and over again, QuickBooks is going to assume this is an error because it's very uncommon for vendors to issue multiple bills with the same bill number. So you might want to, if you want to go ahead and leave the account number in this particular field, you might want to add something to differentiate the bills. So for me, in this situation, I might add 2026-0106 and then a dash. And basically that would indicate to me, if I were looking at this, that this is going to be the bill that was due on 1/6 of 2026. From there, I want to go ahead and keep moving through to make sure that QuickBooks picked up all of the data that I want it to. So it did pick up the correct category. That would be, utilities and electricity. And then here is where it actually did a really good job, at least in my opinion. It pulled all of this information. So I have electric usage charges, delivery charges, and regulatory fees and taxes. And it pulled all of that information and plugged it into the description. Now, for this particular bill, I don't need all of those things to be on separate line items because it all contributes to the electricity utilities portion of my bill and how I want that to show up on my profit and loss. But there might be bills where you would want things to show up on separate line items. This is something where you might have to kind of edit this and double check QuickBooks on its work a bit more. But for this particular invoice, it did a phenomenal job. It got the amount correct, the overall total due, so we're all set there. Now, the final thing that I actually really like about this QuickBooks Feed feature is that it will automatically take whatever document you provide it with and add it as an attachment on the transaction. I am a huge advocate of using attachments in QuickBooks because it is one of the best ways to ensure that if you or your CPA or your bookkeeper or anyone else has questions about a transaction down the line, they have all the information they need right at their fingertips, because anybody who can go in and view a transaction can then view the attachments that are there, and that can provide them additional detail about what's going on. All right, so once I save this, it's going to be as if I had gone up to the plus create button and entered everything in this bill myself. So this is going to show up on my bill pay screen. It's going to show up in my accounts payable summaries and details, and it's going to show up as a possible match for this transaction when it comes through my bank feed. So this is a really nice way to possibly cut down on data entry in your small business. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Holly. I'm the owner of Accrual Mistress Bookkeeping and Consulting. If you have any questions, please do leave those below, and I hope you have a wonderful day.